Ladies and gentlemen, John Murphy.
This is John Murphy. I'm John Murphy Wright, and you're listening to the Best Bits podcast with your host, Will Collins. And he wrote three films, three of them, not one, three. And two of the films were nominated for Academy Awards, Oscars, 2 out of 3. He did that. The man who went to the Brits and he took the BAFTA from them. He won that for us. That's your podcast host. He's won a Writers Guild of Ireland award for writing. And not only that, he went off to America, the land of the free, to Hollywood, the land of the perverts. He went and wrote a Star Wars. That's right. A Star Wars on Disney Plus. That's your podcast host, Will Collins. And he's joined by Kevin. He wrote something as well. It's a film, I think, but so
Start the fucking podcast.
He's also here on this podcast with Will. And this is another new episode.
The best bits, or whatever.
Unedited and raw.
Hello, Kevin.
How are you, Will?
I'm good. I'm baked. It's early o'clock and it's already very, very warm in Donegal.
We better start the timer. Lead us. What have you been up to? What have you watched?
I have been mainly this is like that fast show segment. This week I have been eating. I haven't been to the cinema. The topical stuff I've watched is all TV stuff. So I've kind of seen a lot of TV stuff. I watched a show that you recommend. Most of it, except the last episode. Myself and Karen watched The Diplomat on Netflix. So we've seen all of it except the last episode.
Okay, what have you been thinking of it?
You know what? Your description of it, or your comparison, where you were trying to marry it to the West Wing and a soapy vibe, I didn't understand what you were saying. You said there's nothing like it out there. And once I watched it, I went, I kind of know what you mean. It has a seriousness. It has a serious kind of urgent political side to it, which feels like a West Wingy type of show. And then there are these really, really soapy elements, which I don't really like that much. And then there's an element to comedy, which I do like. But ultimately, I think the Carrie Russell, isn't that the lead? She's the lead in it. She plays the diplomat in it. She's fantastic. And I actually found it very engaging. I kind of wanted to go, okay, what happens next? Okay, well, how are they going? Well, how is this whole thing going to resolve itself? I think it's kind of very
It ends
sharp.
on a big dramatic moment. So you've that to look forward to.
Each episode seems to end on a big dramatic moment. There's always some big kind of like, whoa.
But do you remember when the West Wing, they had the assassination of the president? It's like one of those storylines. But I enjoyed it. I'm glad you watched it. Not many people have been talking about that I've seen anyway.
It's worth it. You can see how they were clever in that they have limited locations. They kind of use this one location of a Downton Abbey-like location, and it's a fancy enough location where it makes sense, where you have all these diplomats and world leaders coming to. So you can kind of see how in a budgetary sense, they kind of were clever that they're using their locations to their benefit rather than trying to have this sprawling canvas. So I'm enjoying it. I'm recommending it as well. It's fun.
There you go.
How about you, Kevin? What did you watch?
I watched Hypnotic, the new film from Robert Rodriguez with Ben Affleck, written by Max Borenstein. And it was bonkers. It felt like a spoof where all the jokes had been taken out of it. And it was nice to see a film that was original, although it felt like it was borrowing heavily from the Inception aesthetic. A lot of the same action sequences and sort of, cities flipping over on each other. But when I was watching it, I just felt like I don't need to stress so much about what I'm writing. I don't need to.
Why?
Because they just didn't give a shit. It was like they just constantly keep telling Ben Affleck things. He's looking for his missing daughter. The plot line is a detective investigates a mystery involving his missing daughter and a secret government program. And there are people out there in the world that have the ability to mind control, or so it seems. And they can walk up to somebody and say, "It's really hot today, isn't it? It's like an inferno." And then that person will start to think that they're on fire. Or they'll walk into a bank and they'll say, it's the late afternoon, your desk is closed. You should get the money and just give it to me. All that kind of stuff. So it's sort of like, did you ever watch the Jessica Jones show?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. David Tennant's character.
Yeah, Mr. Purple. Or the Purple Man, or whatever he was called. The villain has that ability. But it's the way that they just keep telling things to Ben Affleck, which is like, people can mind control. Okay. But we can't read your mind. I can read your partner's, or not read your mind. I can control your partner's mind. And it's like, oh, okay. And it was just a lot of like, people explaining the most batshit concepts and Ben Affleck just accepting it, like within a few moments. And I thought, oh, you can just do that. You can just like tell people that this is what's going on and you just have to go with it. But yeah, it was dumb, but passable. What I found interesting about it is that a lot of well-known actors popped up in the film for like one or two lines, or like half a scene. Jackie Earl Haley was one of them.
Right.
I couldn't tell you their names. They're like the people that you'd see that would be heading up a TV show. Okay. The woman that was in the woman that was the star of Alien vs. Predator, the black woman.
Oh God, I barely remember that film.
Well, you know that actress.
Yeah.
She plays his therapist, and she is in one scene, and she has like 2 or 3 lines where she asks him a couple of questions, and that's it, and she never shows up again. And I just got the sense that Robert Rodriguez was just asking his friends or people that he liked to come on down. We'll have a barbecue cookout, and we'll you can shoot a couple of days, and you'll get a lot of money. And it felt a little bit more distracting, where I kept thinking those actors were going to keep popping back up, but they didn't. But it was grand. It was grand.
I remember when I was a late teen, I desperately wanted Robert Rodriguez to be like my new favorite director, because he came up with the book. First of all, the making of the El Mariachi book, which is called Rebel Without a Crew. That's what it was. And I remember reading that book and going, wow, it's possible. You can do it. You can make a film, a successful, genre film on no budget.
That was the one where he was selling his blood, wasn't he? And he was taking...
He was a part of a
experiment.
He was a part of a medical experiment. He went and stayed at a research facility for a couple of weeks with other people and got paid a few grand for it. But the problem was then subsequently all of his films, I've never really gelled with any of his films. I don't think, not a single one. Even though I've wanted to like them, but I haven't really gelled with any of his stuff. But fair play to him. He has built his own studio. He's done his own thing. He has created his own empire, and I think, more power to him. He did it his own fucking way.
Yeah, I always just get the sense that his films are experiments for him. He's like seeing if he can do it on whatever limitations. But I felt those limitations. The characters all just felt like plot robots with this really heavy-handed, sentimental music playing over scenes.
The other thing that I watched it yesterday, was the show that everyone's talking about. And I think we couldn't record this episode without discussing it. It's
This Morning.
Yeah, This Morning. I was going to go the Arnold Schwarzenegger route. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about This Morning for sure. It's very interesting. It's very curious. Like, it really is it's probably a bigger news story than the death of the Queen.
Explain to people what the news story is.
So there is this breakfast time TV show that has been going on for decades on ITV. And also on RT, one of the RT channels. Which is
Virgin,
just
not RT.
Oh, is this? Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Virgin Media, whatever it's called. And it's been hosted for 2 decades by a guy called Philip Schofield, who was a children's children's TV presenter back in the 80s. And he's kind of like a darling, a kind of a cute, fuzzy character in the mind of British media, I suppose. But he has left in controversial circumstances where he lied about a relationship with an intern, and it's caused all sorts of.
I don't think he was
calamity.
an intern, but he was one of the younger researchers, and yeah, he basically Kevin Spacey'd himself, and he got the sack, and people are clamoring for other heads to roll, and one of the former presenters, Eamon Holmes, is out there like sticking the knife in constantly, which is fascinating to see. There's a lot of tit for tats going on, but yeah, but that's not what we're going to talk about. You saw what? FUBAR, the Arnold Schwarzenegger action comedy series that's on Netflix now. I watched the first episode of it. Me too.
I believe you watched it as well. Okay. We don't know what each other thinks of it, right?
Oh, yes, we do.
Do we? All right. Okay. Right.
I mean, I'd be shocked if you think it's anything other than kind of crap.
It's kind of what I expected. I didn't expect it to be very good, right? So I watched it. Do you know what? I resetted my calibration while watching it, right? And I went, okay, this isn't True Lies, the TV show. This is the A-Team.
But there is a True Lies TV show.
Oh my God, there is a True Lies TV show. Oh my God.
It's not that either.
God, I haven't watched it. There are things about it I didn't mind, Kevin. Okay, it's not very good, but there are things about the first episode I didn't mind. I thought once they got into South America and once his daughter showed up.
What's the storyline?
Spoiler. The storyline is basically True Lies, only now Arnold's character is retiring, and he goes on one last mission to South America because some bad guy's got a WMD, and when he's down there... Do
you know who the bad guy was?
I haven't a clue.
He was the Terminator from the Dark Fate Terminator.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually thought he was good. He was one of those performers who went, oh, he's actually solid, like as in...
Do you know what I
with
noticed?
The material he had, he did fine. What?
Schwarzenegger's not as tall as he used to be.
I suppose that's probably true, yeah. Well, everyone shrinks as they get older.
Yeah, I just noticed that he was always like smaller than everybody else, and he used to tower over people.
Yeah. Or maybe that was just a kind of a thing in the 80s where they kind of like, make sure you shoot Arnold, make him look as big as possible. Make me look as big. I want to be the oak, the Austrian oak. He put me on top of a tree.
I got the sense that they were just doing the bare minimum that they needed to do in order to keep the story going. So there was a lot of like empty streets, empty buildings, empty corridors. I could feel the budget in everything. I don't know. The most unrealistic thing about it was that all the support team agents used Acer laptops.
That's the element of the elements of that episode that irritated me the most. His support team. They either there's two factors. The material wasn't good enough. Their characters were just so bloody flat. But also the irritating comedy score that has been
that's awful. That's when I immediately like checked out, because it starts off with a needle drop. I think it's the Rolling Stones, the most overused needle drop in film history. And the Rolling Stones must be hard up for money. They just keep letting anybody use that fucking song. And then it goes into this sort of generic, like sounding like music. And I thought, oh, this is like Barry, but on a budget. And it's nice to see Arnold Schwarzenegger and, hear his voice and stuff. But when you have a premise that is arch and it's fantastical, for me, you need to ground everything else. Everything else needs to be to undercut how over the top the storyline is. So if you go in and you start adding in comedy music onto comedy scenes, it's no longer funny anymore. And and if your support characters are all incredibly broad and like yucking it up, then it's like those emails. Do you remember those joke emails you get years back? And it would be like, scroll down for the punchline. Wait for it. You're gonna love it. Seriously, hold on to your sides. And by the time you scroll down, you'd be like, I'm never gonna laugh at this. And the punchline would just be, it could have been relatively funny if they just delivered it like right then. Yeah. But all the sort of like elbowing, nudging, it just neutralized any potential for it to be funny. And I felt that in this. And it just, I'm not going to watch episode 2. Sorry, Arnie.
Do you know, I was just, as you were saying that, I think that type of music comedy scoring is kind of like a soft jazz, you know, a bassy kind of like, and
that sounds like Seinfeld.
For me, it's, well, there you go. For me, it's like the Canned laugh track. That's what it's like. It's replaced Canned laughter in shows. It's like, okay, we need to tell the audience that this is supposed to be funny rather than it actually being funny on its own terms. And as you just said, as a result, it's not funny. Saying that, Kevin, I thought it was, I thought it wasn't very good. But on saying that, his daughter, I think, is very good.
No,
like she saw when
I didn't think she was good at all.
No, I thought she was, come here. I thought, honest to God, do you recognize her?
No.
She was in Top Gun. She was in Top Gun Maverick. She was one of the other pilots in Top Gun Maverick. Because I had a quick... there
was no other pilots in that except for Tom Cruise and Miles, what's his name? Is he Miles? Miles Teller. Yeah. It's just him and him. They didn't let anyone else sort of like show up in it. No, but when they introduce her and it's like, we got the toughest guy around. And he's like, I can't wait to meet this guy. And it's like, he's not a guy. And a bare knuckle boxing or a MMA fight is going on in a ring surrounded with all these militants. And it's his daughter who looks like she just drinks smoothies, drives a Tesla, and she's beating the shit out of this guy. And it's like she's going to break her wrist if she throws punches with that heft. And that's where I'm like, everything about this premise is asking me to buy into something which is so fantastical. Stop making it harder for me to believe every single moment, every line of dialogue, every character, every action. And I know that they're going for a sitcom, a spy sitcom. But I don't know. It wasn't for me. I was just sort of like really disappointed. And I hated the way it looked. I remember like looking at True Lies and the Omega Sector headquarters would be, deep focus and it'd be all glass panels and there'd be these extras in the background and TV screens and people moving about. And then you're in the CIA regional office headquarters and it's just flat wood paneling and IKEA tables and IKEA chairs. And it's shot with Arnold just standing against the flat panelled wall. It's like, this is so dead looking. There's no windows. There's no life. And it's shot by the guy that did Sopranos. I think I already said that, did I?
No, you didn't say that. I didn't know that.
DP The Sopranos. So I don't know. I just don't think they had enough time and money to do it.
Yeah. I still think if you calibrate your brain to basically, this is a 1980s A-Team type show, then you might be able to derive some sort of satisfaction out of it. But it is not, Siri was just listening to me. If you're looking for a quality spiritual sequel to True Lies, this is unfortunately not it. And also, the quality of Arnie's performance, I actually think it modulated from the scenes where he was in the real world where he wasn't very good, and just the scenes where, like in those yucky
moments with Jay Baruchel.
Yeah, and particularly in the CIA headquarters, I just went, oh, this is terrible. But when he was actually on the field, out there in the encampment, I actually went, oh no, he's actually feels natural in this environment, and I thought he was totally fine in that space. I don't think it's very good. I don't think it's awful, but yeah. But you know, if you really like Arnie and you want to watch something like this, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Netflix house style. I don't like it.
It kind of is, isn't it? It's kind of, yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It really is. What other things have you been watching, Kevin?
I watched Succession.
The big finale. My God. Okay, we watched it last night. And we also haven't discussed it. So I don't know what you think of it.
I was not as keen on this season as most people were. I felt there was a few episodes where I was losing interest and getting a bit bored of the repetitiveness of the characters. They were starting to grate on me. But there have been 3 excellent episodes for this final season. One was the death of Logan Roy. The other one was the funeral service. And this finale, I thought, was really, really strong. Although it didn't feel like a finale. The way that it ended, I could well imagine them coming back for like a season 5. Although I'm glad that they're not. But I was not sure where it was going to go. And I like that. I like that we got to see the siblings in a more innocent way when they were all sort of agreeing to let Kendall take over the company. And they were just goofing off with each other. I like that. It felt sort of it felt like that they still had the camaraderie of siblings and that they hadn't totally fractured. And then I was just sort of really impressed that they managed to make the final fight the ugliest of all fights, the worst one they've ever had, where there's no way you can come back from this. This is one where people have like 30-year feuds and they never speak to their siblings. And it's like, why doesn't, Auntie Shiv talk to Uncle Kendall? Don't talk about that person. It's that kind of a fight. I thought it was really excellent, really well done. And I didn't expect it to go the way that it did. What did you think?
I thought it was a perfect ending, honest to God. But there was a moment.
Long episode. It was nearly 90 minutes.
Yeah. There was a moment about over the halfway point where I thought, hang on a second, are they heading towards a joint win here? And if they headed towards, if the show resolved with them winning at the end, kind of like uniting and winning, I would have felt that was the wrong ending. I would have felt that was completely disingenuous. There were so many things I loved about this episode. One, I loved the scene of them at Logan's apartment where Connor is basically set up a system for all of the for people to kind of like pick and select what items they want to keep for themselves using a whole sticker system. And I thought that was incredibly funny. Are you okay, Kevin?
Yeah, my screen went black.
Raw.
Oh, okay. And
I didn't understand that. I thought that was an auction.
No, it wasn't an auction. It was basically you can take some items that you can take as heirlooms. Basically, these are selecting. You have a sticker to say, "I'm having this. This is for me." And he had a whole system could kind of like do as a fair thing. And I kind of felt, oh, that was fun. But it ultimately led them to watching this home video footage of Logan Roy in his last days.
That was very sad.
Fun. And they were all sitting down like children at their father's knee watching this video, and they all had this kind of like glowy, warm smile on their faces.
It wasn't just that. It was that they had smashed that group up. They'd completely broken it. So everybody that was around that table was no longer sort of in the inner circle anymore. Jerry was gone. Kerry was gone. The 2 old fellas whose names I can't remember right now, they weren't really a part of it anymore. And it felt like there was some guilt to them as well as grief, I felt.
And it's almost like they didn't get to see that side of him for a long time. That side of him is almost like that's what they've been craving all this fucking time to be with their daddy around the table, just having fun. And the only way they can get close to it is through someone else's memory, someone else's. And it was painful and it was lovely. And there was a yearning in their face. They all, like, there was no kind of smart arsery going on between them. All the children had this kind of yearning, and I don't know, it was a very poignant. And I love the juxtaposition of that happening, and also the machinations of the Gojo Jojo guy with Tom in the background. I went, oh fuck, this is good shit going
I guess
on here.
you can use that app now, can't you? Which can instantly translate what somebody else is saying.
Yeah, wasn't that fantastic? That was fucking... Well, I just recommended... There's friends of mine going on a holiday went, oh, use that Google Translate thing. And you can just hold it up and it will just listen to people speak and automatically translate it to the correct language. Oh my God, it's fantastic.
I like
Also,
that Greg
the other
became
thing-
the kingmaker.
Yes. And Greg is my... If I had to pick a favorite character, he's my favorite character.
I like that he stood up for himself.
But also, every episode, he kind of does the shrug of like going, hang on a second. Every episode, he tips the balance. He tips the scale in some sly little way. Just he gives some sort of information that just pivots the whole drama of that episode in a really exciting way. Another thing you brought up there, the scene, what happens is, well, you should only be listening to this if you've seen the episode, but when they go back to the mother's house, basically to get Roman, Shiv goes to the mother's house to basically get Roman to side with her.
I thought Roman might have topped himself, or was like had attempted to kill himself. The way that it was set up.
Doesn't it sound like that? But you described there that night where they all kind of unify obviously to learn what's going on, but they unify, and it was interesting how they unified. They unified in their joined, shared kind of repulsion of their mother. And when the only time they can be unified is when they have a parent to hate. And as soon as they leave their mother's house, that is gone. They can't work together anymore. And I went, oh God, this is fucking painful. This is painful what this family is.
That's true for a lot of families as well, though. It's like once the parents die, all the siblings scatter.
And that's why I felt there's no way they should win out at the end of the day here. There's no way they should be a united force at the end of this, kind of coming away, having the keys to the kingdom, keys to the castle, because it's never going to last for long. You know, they've proven to us that they can get on for about 5 minutes, but as soon as something's going to happen where everything's going to erupt.
So that scene between Tom and Alexander Skarsgård, where he told him that he wanted to oust Shiv because he didn't think that she was right and he wanted him to take her place, and he agreed to it. I thought that was an electric scene. But when he agreed to do that, I need to walk through some things, because there are no scenes in this episode that are extraneous, or no moments that are extraneous. Everything serves a purpose, or is there to tip the hand or to elucidate moments which we might not have seen. So, for instance, at the very end when Roman's in the bar, he's having a martini. That was always Jerry's drink.
Oh, I never copped that.
He's drinking Jerry's drink, a martini. What does that mean? What does it say? Who knows? The other thing was Carolina. So when Shiv confronts Tom, she knows that Tom was the one that was going to oust her and take the position as CEO. There's a scene that happens when they're coming in to have the board meeting vote, where Carolina says to Shiv, once you take over, or something like that. Once you take over, can I put in a request that the first thing you do is get rid of Hugo? Hugo, obviously, is the guy from Short Circuit.
Yeah, and he was the guy who was working with Kendall behind the scenes.
So then once Tom takes over, the first thing Tom does is ask, where's Carolina, to Hugo. Which makes me feel that Shiv and Tom had a conversation before the vote where they had agreed for her to let him take the company and her to become her mother, a housewife, alongside him.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. You're probably right. Yeah.
Also, people were trying to pick it apart and say this was the moment that Shiv changed her mind. Was when Kendall sat down in the chair, the dad's chair, and he was sort of swiveling back and forth, and she just had this quizzical look. But I remember thinking the same thing that Shiv thought when they were all around the boardroom and he was giving his speech. I just thought, this guy is so weak and he's not cut out for this. And very different energy to when he was giving the eulogy, and he just felt like strong and purposeful. Yeah, that final scene where they just went into the side boardroom and just tore strips from each other. It felt so sudden, though.
There was also, do you remember before they had the shareholders meeting where Roman sees Jerry, cutting through the glass?
Yeah, and he says he can't see her.
He becomes almost, he doubles up. He can't even raise his head. He's so, oh God, he's so crippled by even the sight of her. And then
it's interesting for his character
weeping.
Because he was somebody that his kink was shaming. He loved to be like dominated and shamed. And now he was just embarrassed to be around Jerry.
Yeah.
I think because he felt so much
then,
guilt.
What I loved about the moment where Kendall comes over and hugs Roman, on my first reading, I went, "Oh my God, this is the hug he needs. This is like an embrace."
But he kept
I was like,
pushing his wounded eyebrow into his
Exactly.
shoulder until he made himself bleed. So he was hurting himself by hugging him.
So was this was the thing. Was Roman doing it to himself, or was Kendall doing it? Was Kendall squeezing his head into his shoulder? Because I was wondering,
Don't know.
hang on a second, who's actually doing this? Because if Kendall did it, it's basically opening old wounds. That's what we have. It's like the literal metaphor of an old wound being opened right now. And I just went that's lovely. I like that from a elegant storytelling point of view. But also, it was questionable. I was just going, oh, who's doing this? Who's doing the damage right now? And they went into it it just took at slight little moments, as you were alluding to there. Shiv looking at Kendall sitting on the dad's chair, just assuming, oh, I can sit in the dad's chair now. And that being a little moment to tip it over. Ultimately meaning they could never get on. They could never work together as a unified force. It was impossible. They had to fuck it. They had to fuck it. And I thought it was
the right ending.
It's the right ending.
But what I was caught off guard by was how quickly Roman jumped in and got his kicks in on Kendall as well. As soon as Shiv said, I can't stomach you. You killed somebody. Then Roman got straight in there and was like, those aren't even your kids. And that, what's his face, the guy that plays Kendall is pretty method. So I bet he was squeezing the fuck out of his throat for real.
Yeah. It looked so severe. It was like he was squeezing his fucking face. It was like he was going to pop his eyeballs.
Yeah.
Can I also highlight there was great humor in this episode as well, coming from the mother and her husband, whatever his name, Paul or Tom or whatever he was. And the mother, when she says, "Oh, I don't like looking at people's eyeballs," what's she talking about? She described eyeballs as
gooey
like
eggs in their faces.
Yeah, she's such a delicious and entertaining, despicable character.
She's like an evil stepmother in a Disney film.
Yeah. So look at these people. They had, on one side they had an evil stepmother, and on the other side they had a monster for a dad. They're fucked up. They're
but all the money they have, they could just decide, let's hop on a private jet and go down to fucking Barbados, wherever it was. They could do whatever they wanted.
I also love. There's so many moments I loved. I also loved the moment of Tom, when Tom now is the king. You really feel like, oh my God, Tom is the king right now. And that moment of him regally just casting out,
Hugo.
All of them. He just went, he's gone. But also how he leaves it with Greg.
He brought the women around him. So he's going to have Shiv by his side. He's going to have Carolina. He's going to have Jerry.
We didn't talk about like the betrayal of Greg on Tom.
I loved that Greg slapped him back. And I thought, yeah, this is nice. It felt a little like too much catharsis, giving us what we want instead of what would. People don't change that severely, like in one episode. He slapped him back, and I thought, oh, it's nice. But I knew then when Tom took the job that he was going to keep Greg around. And when he says, I've got you, I thought, oh, of course, perfect. So the Disgusting Brothers are still going to work together.
The Disgusting Brothers. But like he used one of those stickers that they were using around Logan's apartment.
I claim you.
Stuck the sticker to his forehead. Yeah, I own you now. And it's not like, it's like, now I officially own your ass. And before it was like, you're my little toy. Now you are mine.
That'll end in murder. Episode 7 of season 8 will be when Greg actually kills Tom.
Yeah, eventually, if this show did go on, Greg would eventually have to be CEO at some stage. He would have to be. He was always going to worm his way to the top some way. I also loved the moment. I thought the final 10 minutes of this show was perfect.
It's been like that all season, though.
Ending.
It's been like, one after the other episode where I've been kind of like checking out, and then the final scene would just grab me, like the balcony moment between Tom and Shiv, or the moment when Logan Roy turns up at the karaoke bar. Those kind of moments. Yeah, a great show. I'm glad that they stuck the landing, and that's how you do it.
Fantastic. And I'm glad they're not doing a season 5. It's a perfect way to just leave it. You could easily do a season 5, but I think
I told you I met
all the bases now.
Jesse Armstrong at a party once, and he's a huge guy. He's really, really tall, and everyone's there in their suits or their smart casual attire, and he was in like tracksuit pants, and he had a shirt that was like really loose fitting and sort of hanging off him. Like you'd have a dress shirt and tracksuit pants. And I think he'd worked on some zombie show or something on E4 when E4 was a channel. And he just seemed so disarmingly like normal, but normal in a way that didn't feel like he should be part of this party. He was just like leaning up against the table. And I said to him, I just heard him. I think he was one of the writers on either In the Loop or something like that. And I was telling him that I just heard him on the podcast, on the Jeff Goldsmith podcast. And he was like, you listened to that? And I was like, yeah, I thought it was really good. Oh, I didn't even understand what was going on. I was like, no, I listen to that show all the time. It's like, it's a brilliant show. And he was like, okay. And where did you hear it? And I was like, it was just, you can listen to it on your iPod. And he was like, oh, okay. But it was sort of like peculiar. Someone's coming up and saying, I heard that conversation that you had that you thought nobody heard. But yeah, I was just sort of like completely taken aback by it. And then the next time I saw him, he was on one of the HBO sort of making of behind the scenes things, where they're publicizing the show. And he'd been given a complete makeover. He was really dapper and smart, and he looked like he had money. He was really slick. I just remember the guy that looked like he was that he'd just come from the Dole office, that was slouching in the corner at this party where everyone was like, all these executives are milling about, and it was an open bar. But yeah,
I think you can measure someone's success, or this, a lot of this industry goes on. You can see someone's made it when they look slick, when they look like they've been put together by someone else, and there's like someone's been consulted and.
I remember one of the people that was working on his show, he had a writer with him as well. I can't remember what the show was, but the other writer was like, tell him the concept of your movie. This was the concept of Grabbers. And I told him, and he thought that was hilarious. So I remember that as well.
You know what? I think we've got time to talk about some news. How about that? Right?
Go for it.
There's one trailer I watched in this last week, and I think it's the trailer that everyone's talking
about.
Are
you typing in that page? Is that why things are changing colour?
Yeah, no, I'm highlighting it so I can actually look. I put my little cursor over it and I just went, wee, so I can actually see what it is. The trailer, the next trailer for the Barbie film, the Greta Gerwig Barbie film, just came out over the week. And I watched it, and it told us a little bit more about what the story would be. And it seems like this is going to be more of an elf type story, where we have...
What I said way back when, I said I imagine this is going to be like Enchanted, where the Amy Adams character goes from the animated world into the real world. What I'm curious to know is whether Will Ferrell is playing the same character in this that he was playing in the Lego movie.
That will be interesting, yeah. I hope not. Well, that was a dad. He seems like he's the CEO of Mattel Corporation or something like that. And but I will say this. This is a concept that's been done several times. We can go back as far as the Brady Bunch movie. Remember the Brady Bunch movie where you had like the family from the 70s were in like, contemporary
fish out of
90s
water.
LA. Yeah, that's basically it. The ad, I laughed several times. I think Ryan Gosling is a hoot in the ad. I thought there were so many funny little gags. I genuinely am excited.
I thought it
had a clever punchline.
I can't remember which one it was. Was it in that trailer where he goes, I'm going to come over tonight? And she's like, why? He's like, because we're boyfriend and girlfriend. To do what? I don't know.
No, I didn't see that. I didn't see it there. There was a misogyny where he goes into. There's a shot of him in a hospital wearing a cowboy suit, like a Woody cowboy suit, and he's talking. He says, "Can I talk to the doctor?" Basically, as in, I want to be doctor.
Right,
and as a woman,
yeah.
she says, "I am the doctor," and he went, "Yeah, sure, yeah, but the doctor, And I thought it was. I think there's going to be a lot of good comedy in here.
You remember all the hype that was happening before the film was even finished shooting, where all the actors were saying it was the best script they've ever read, the best script that they've had in their career. So they're setting themselves up here now to really deliver. So I hope they do.
Yeah, it has to be. It's going to be an out-and-out comedy, and I am looking forward to laughing because I do love fish out of water, good fish out of water films.
What's this? Will Ferrell starring in Madden?
Yeah, Will Ferrell. So last week we were talking about Air at some stage anyway, about products and IPs being turned into creation of certain IPs and products being turned into feature films. And Madden, which is in America, is a big, huge
video game.
It's a video game based on the NFL, which is...
I don't play with children's toys.
Well, this is John Madden. Our American listeners will be frustrated with that. It's like calling FIFA a kid's toy. So it's basically America's
FIFA's
version
a kid's
of FIFA. What's his name? The guy who owned it. Madden is John Madden was a coach, a football coach. He wasn't. He was a football coach, and when whoever it was were making a video game, they licensed his image to kind of like say John Madden's football, like they had Mike Tyson's boxing, and this one took off. So this is a movie about the acquiring of John Madden's license.
What's that skater?
Tony
Hawk's. Tony Hawk's that one as well.
Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
There you go. And Will Ferrell is playing John Madden. So another one of these. We're going through an era of just IP. Of movies.
But if he's a real person, that's more of a biopic about him.
Yeah, unless it's around a specific moment, a specific
signing the license deal for his likeness to be used.
Yeah, so it's just curious how we've just had Air and now we have the John Madden video game thing. It's curious. It's odd.
You've written down some more news here, and I didn't see this news. They're doing sequels to Cliffhanger.
The same guy, by the same guy. The guy who did... Oh, crikey, I should have wrote down his name.
The guy who did Greenland is doing a sequel to Cliffhanger.
He's doing Greenland 2 and Cliffhanger 2. So I enjoyed Greenland. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed Greenland. Oh, there we go. There's a timer going. So... it's on the way. They're happening. If it has Stallone in it, I hope it does. It'd be good if Stallone's there in some way, shape, or form.
Cliffhanger is a top 3 Stallone movie for me.
It's pretty good, yeah. It's very good. I loved that in the cinema. Loved it.
I didn't see it in the cinema. I saw it on video, but yeah, great opening scene as well. Really, really good. And James Cameron's, he's not writing another Terminator movie, surely.
That's apparently what the internets are telling me.
I don't believe that.
That Cameron's writing a Terminator. He's very busy doing his avatars. I just read other news. He's doing avatars full time. Maybe he's got enough time to do a Terminator in between. But apparently he's writing a new Terminator script. I don't know if it's true or not.
He'll just bring in a writer's room again and have them do another Dark Fate version.
That's probably what's going to happen. Because it's a big IP. It can't die. They just can't let it die.
It's one of those IPs, though, that just, it can't keep going. The story was completed after the second film.
Yeah, with T2. Yeah, it really was. It really was. But, hey, if there's money to be extracted, they will squeeze it and squeeze it.
I know, that's why we do this podcast. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, those are the main things. I have one recommendation, which I think it will be actually quite useful for people. I was going to stretch it out and talk about it a bit longer, but no, I think it's good for a recommendation.
I don't know what you mean by TV Trope's website.
That's what I was going to recommend. There's
okay, all right. Well, let me.
That was going to be my recommendation.
Okay. I don't know what my recommendation is because I'm still reading that first 25 years book.
Oh wow! I paused. I have about 2/3 of the second book read, and I paused because they had came to the final season of DS9, and I realized that maybe I should actually finish DS9 completely before I go and listen to them spoiling it for me. So I've gone back to finish the final 10 episodes of DS9. And it's very good. It's made me appreciate that show even more by going through the making of it. I'm
looking forward to it. Yeah, the first one has been fascinating, really interesting.
Yeah, second one keeps it up.
Oh God, I'm just looking at my podcast downloads here for something to recommend. I'm just going to recommend because I've recommended almost everything else that I've been listening to. Every podcast in my feed, I have recommended at some stage. Except for Alan Carr's Life's a Beach, which is an interview podcast that he does, which can be very funny if I know who the guest is. So he's got Kathy Burke on this current one. You know Alan Carr, the comedian who did Chatty Man and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's
very good.
The concept is that he is talking about travel. So it's his Alan Airlines. And he just asked what their favourite travel experiences, where they've been, any holiday romances, what they like in a holiday, and they just have a laugh talking. One of those lockdown podcasts that's still going.
Oh, cool. Bit like us, Kevin. A bit like us.
Yep.
I have a really useful writing tool website, which I think would be good for writers out there.
ChatGPT.
I went on it yesterday. Yeah, ChatGPT. No, it's a website called tvtropes.org. That's tvtropes.org. And it basically breaks down every bit of media into its various tropes. And it is so fucking comprehensive. It's fucking brilliant. It even has, I looked at Grabbers. It's got Grabbers on there and breaks down Grabbers into, into all its tropes. It has Screecher's Reach, which is out just less than a month ago. It has Screecher's Reach broken down into all its various tropes. And you can click in on the tropes and see, what other films have that exact type of trope. There are so many funny ones.
It's one of these things. Does Grabber? Oh, that's bizarre. I didn't know that was on there. But I've used that in the past. You know, when you're Googling some things. But it will give you terms like hanging a lantern on it or fridging. Yeah,
I'll give you the ones for Grabbers. Well, I give you the ones for... So the ones for Grabbers are alcohol-induced idiocy, the alcoholic, alien blood, ankle drag, antagonist title, big bad, can't hold his liquor, death by looking up, the end, or is it? Face hugger, hostile weather, kick the dog, night of Cerberus, man of kryptonite. Kick the dog is when the male grabber realizes he can't eat Smiths due to all the alcohol in his system. He just swats him into the air, killing him just because he can. Multi-purpose tongue, one-word title, only sane man. Our vampires are different. And a lot of them are actually quite funny. And you can click into each little headline and it will give you a breakdown.
That's making me feel like Grabbers is the most cliched riddled script ever.
Oh man, no, everything is a trope. Listen, and I was what this made me realize is that
Male lead.
we're just all bakers, and we all have the same collection of ingredients in the press. It's how we put them together makes our stuff unique.
I told you before about things that we do that everybody does, like taking an empty bottle and after you finish drinking it and bumping it off your head. Stuff that nobody told us to do, but we end up just doing it anyway. And I saw a TikTok yesterday, which is things we did as kids. And this guy went through about 30 of them. And they were like sensory blast. I was like, fuck, I remember I used to do that. Stupid little things where you take your rubber and you'd stab it with your pencil and leave all these little holes in it with the pencil. Or you take your ruler and you doink it off the end of the table. Or not stand. Where you lean on a table with both your hands and jump up with your back feet.
Lean on the table and lean
Lean
up
over a table.
Oh, yeah.
Press your hands out and jump up with your back feet. Just jump up and down.
With your back, lean over table.
Not with your forward feet, but with your back feet.
What the fuck are you talking about?
If you're a kid and you're standing over a school desk, and you lean down with your two hands, you put both hands on the desk.
So I'm keeping my arms straight.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you jump up with your back, your legs. You jump up, just hop up and down. You've seen kids do that, surely.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of like hopping. They're kind of like hopping and kind of okay. I'm imagining it now. Okay, yes, I get you. So you mean like hopping on the spot, but like using the table for support? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
It was your back feet that described me, as if you were implying I had front feet as well. That's what confused me.
Well, you are the spawn of the devil. Will that do?
That'll do, Kevin. That'll do. That was great. Okay.
Goodbye,
all right.
everybody.
Very good. Goodbye.
Rest in peace, Tina Turner, you big legend.
The best bits, or whatever.
Unedited and raw.
And here is a clip from the lad's latest Mini Bits bonus show. The full episode, plus 80 more, are available on their Patreon.
See ya, Mossy. I gotta go in and record another one of these fucking mini bits.
Oh, yes, this is all it.
I know. What are you doing?
Right now, on the Academy screener site, and I hit play, because there's only a few films on it for the first month or two. There's only like about less than 10 films on it. And Guy Ritchie's The Covenant is on here. So I hit play on that, and I'm hearing we're out in Afghanistan, and I'm hearing all the dirt, and I hear vehicles, and I hear the sound effects of characters walking. But when characters open their mouths, I don't hear any dialogue.
Oh,
There's no dialogue.
They've uploaded the wrong audio track. It's like that Tom Cruise trailer where it was just the sound effects.
Have you met an SP?
Yeah, and this film has been up on the screen site for a few weeks now, and they still have the wrong one here. Well, I tell you what films are actually up there for all Academy members to see, and they see what they've put up there.
But first of all, let's just throw to our theme. And I have to say, the feedback from my thank you ballad was quite fierce.
The power of Christ compels you!
So I asked Mossy, who is a friend of my dad's at the quiz, sing us a theme tune.
Oh.
So over to Mossy.
hit the cards. I'm fine, I'll get it done in one take. It's the Many Bits. Or podcast, what will they say? With Will and Kevin Cock.
The best fucking podcast.
That'll do.
That'll do.
My God.
Thank you, Mossy.
He would make an angel weep. That voice would make an angel weep.
Telling you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Boolabus.
It only cost us 2 months Patreon money, so, you know.
Is that all? Money well spent in my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, you can't get much for €20. Will, you were telling me before the intro that you were looking at stuff on the Academy Screeners website.
The Academy Awards. So for official members, yes. So they don't send out DVDs anymore. So how you do all your streaming stuff is all via the Academy website. And the streaming season has begun, which is exciting. So it means for the rest of the year...
Did it ever end?
It does end. It does. After the Academy Awards, there's about 2 weeks, and they take all the films down, and then they begin again at the end of August, and they all start coming up. So it's a whole new collection of hopefuls.
So how many films are on there?
Right now, about 10. Actually, 10 exactly. I can tell you the 10.
Oh, go on, tell me.
John Wick 4.
For the Oscars. Oh, because there's like...
Yes, because they're adding in stunt category, aren't they?
Are they adding it in? Is the stunt category being added?
I believe they're adding in some sort of stunt category.
Breaking news straight from an Academy member's mouth.
Because they're adding in stunt category, aren't they?
Slash film.
I don't know. Did I read this in an article? I feel they were.
I
felt they were.
Have long overlooked stunts, and my God, it's pure artistry.
Yeah.
And it is incredibly, well, these days, it's all fucking rubber computer generated avatars.
That's why we should that's why these people should be getting their Oscars when someone's actually going out then. Yeah,
go back,
absolutely.
Go back and give it to your man from Mad Max who broke his legs.
Give it to Richard Farnsworth, who was a stuntman and starred in The Straight Story. Yeah, Richard Farnsworth was a career stuntman. Absolutely.
Wasn't that also the case with Machete? What's your man, Machete? Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo.
Is
really?
It Trejo or Trejo?
I always call him Trejo, but he just says, call me Danny.
I was going to say that back to you.
Nah.
I was like, just that.
Weird.
That's me just calling